If you're an athlete and you're trying to get into meditation, hang around because this could be the guide that you need right now. Before we get going, don't forget to subscribe to this channel by hitting the button below and also click the bell so you get notified when a new video is coming up. Athletes such as Erling Haaland, LeBron James, and the late great Kobe Bryant have often spoken about how meditation is a tool that they use to help them perform mentally on the field as well as look after themselves off the field. And there are many more athletes like them that are doing just that. So why is this skill so valuable? And how do you even get started with it? As a quick overview, meditation has so many different benefits, whether it's focus, concentration, maybe even relaxation, and so many more benefits based around your well-being that can deal with your anxiety, stress, and even increasing your own confidence. So athletes usually get involved in meditation as a part of a mental skill they're trying to develop. But the chances are, if you're like me and when you started getting into meditation, you found it frustrating. You probably heard yourself saying, I can't sit still, or I have too many thoughts. I'm not getting it right. Or one that's really common, I'm really bad at meditation, I can't do this. We constantly tell ourselves that we're unable to do this skill of meditation, and that's exactly what it is. It's a skill. Now think about any skill that you've developed as an athlete, whether it's kicking a ball, throwing a ball, jumping, whatever it might be. At some stage, someone has had to sit you down and slowly and progressively teach you how to do that skill. And meditation is no different. And a big part of learning that skill is starting at the very beginning and not really knowing what you're doing. And it's messy. You don't get things right. You get things wrong. You constantly mess up. You doubt yourself. Sometimes you throw a little bit of a tantrum, but eventually after enough practice, you'll start to pick it up. You'll start to teach yourself, okay, this is where I'm going wrong. This is where I'm going right. And you develop the skill. And eventually by then you would have developed the skill to a stage where it's automatic and you're not even thinking about it. And meditation is exactly the same. You have to start early and you have to start in a really uncomfortable place. The trouble is, as athletes, we're hardwired to want to move and do things and be active. And sitting down, not doing anything, that's sometimes completely against what we want to do. My journey with meditation was starting through yoga. So I started off meditating after my yoga practice. I would physically train, I would stretch my body, and then I would spend about a minute or 2 minutes just meditating and then build it from there. So if you want to get into meditation, here's 5 things that you can do to help you start your practice. Number 1, start small. You may think that, okay, I have to get into meditation. I'm going to have to do 10, 20, 30 minutes. Honestly, try 1 minute. Get over that barrier of just being able to sit still for 1 minute. James Clear in his book Atomic Habits talks about how if you're trying to build a habit, you can start incredibly small, even if it was something like going to the gym for 5 minutes. Because at the end of it, it's not about meditating or going to the gym, whatever that goal is. It's about being able to call yourself and identify as someone who does that habit. So even if you are meditating for 1 minute, you can proudly tell yourself, I'm a meditator. And that will help progress and motivate you onto doing more. Number 2, another way you can start getting into meditation is adding it into your training. Perhaps you've done a workout. For me, I had done yoga and I would add it in at the end, like I mentioned, but you might be doing a weight session. It could be a run, whatever it is. You can throw it in at the back end of your session and that's your time to meditate. If you're doing something like cardio and you've got your heart rate up, you're breathing heavily, that's a great time to actually practice slowing your heart rate down, relaxing, focusing on your breath and getting into that meditative state, even if it's just for a few minutes. My 3rd tip would be make it accessible. Set up something that is going to allow you to go and meditate. So for me, I set up a yoga mat and blocks and I have them in my lounge ready to go every day so that I wake up and it's not even that much of a difficult challenge for me to go and find it or push that motivation to go and do it because it's just sitting there and I can get going. So whatever you need to get going for your meditation, set up your little meditation station and you'll find that by just setting it up, that is a big barrier that you need to overcome to get going. So you can do that with a yoga mat, with blocks, a cushion, whatever it might be. Just find your favorite space, have a drink, have a cup of tea, coffee, whatever it might be, so that you can feel relaxed and you want to go and do that. Number 4, don't judge the process of meditation. You're going to mess this up. You're going to get it wrong. It's going to be ugly. Like I mentioned, when you're building a skill, it starts off ugly. You're going to get it wrong. You're not going to get it perfect to begin with. You're going to find yourself having meditation sessions where it just didn't work like it did perhaps the previous time. And that's the same thing that happens in any other skill that you're doing. You might see progress and then suddenly you have a bad session, but that doesn't mean you should stop, and don't judge it. That's just a part of the learning experience. Even from a meditation point of view, having a bad meditation is actually a good meditation because you can notice that you've had a bad one, and that's being mindful and using meditation to your advantage. So don't judge the session that you're having, even if it goes badly, because eventually, if you hang in long enough, keep showing up, you'll start to build and stack and get better days coming, I promise you. And number 5, be consistent. Now, this doesn't mean you have to do it every day. Perhaps you do it every other day to begin with. I think one of my favorite quotes is that when you're trying to build a habit, don't miss a day twice. So even if you just set up a simple rule like that you don't miss a day twice, and just being consistent by starting maybe 4 times a week, 3 times a week, whatever it might be, and then eventually building it in, that is better than doing absolutely nothing. And consistency doesn't have to be every day, like I said. It could be just those 3 times, and doing that consistently every week, month, year. That is a consistent practice, and you can pat yourself on the back for that. One last tip that I would give as a bit of a bonus tip here is reward yourself with, maybe it's your favorite drink, maybe it's something that you want to go and do. I reward myself with my coffee in the morning. So if I'm doing my practice, if I'm doing yoga, if I'm doing meditation, I do it and I have my coffee there, and I know that if I get on the mat and I go do it, I reward myself with actually having that coffee. I love coffee, so that's the thing that will get me going. For you, it could be you actually won't start your day or get breakfast, for example, until you've done it. So have that little goal at the end of it so that you can achieve what you want, which is your meditation, and then reward yourself with whatever it is that you want to do. So there you go. There's a simple guide to get going with your meditation. I think the biggest thing for me is making sure that you start small and you just get going. Being consistent will come. It hasn't got to be the best meditation practice, and you haven't got to be a guru straight away. But if you can stay consistent, start small, you'll start to see that incremental progress, and the benefits that come with meditation will eventually arrive.